Hello, guys. Saf, Chris. Hello, everybody
Hey,
out
Yes,
there.
hello
Hey,
everyone. Yeah.
with us live or listening to the recording. Great to be with you again. We are going through unprecedented times again. It's like I felt like
Again.
last week or the week before was kind of like a little bit of a
What
slow news week, and there's like no shortage. There was like
every
too
couple of
much to
weeks
judge.
we go through unprecedented times. It's every couple of weeks.
We had a conversation early in the week. Like, okay, so here's a couple things going on in the world, and between that conversation and now,
Mm,
between Iran and Russia and this and this and this and
right.
the weather and yeah, just
really is waves. It really does act
Yeah,
like waves.
yeah. I
waves.
was
It's
wondering. I was
true.
searching for headlines 2 weeks ago. It felt like very slow. Um, I heard from a close friend that his child, who's a freshman in high school, got an email. The child got an email. This is my friend is telling me what happened to his son. That an email went out to a couple hundred kids in the class. That girl was in the class was gonna drink all this Benadryl to kill herself, and she sent an email out to the whole class. And
A
Chris,
freshman, you said?
yeah, freshman high school. Chris, it reminded
Hmm.
me of what you said recently that on TikTok, how people are displaying their like sadness and things like that. Like not just we
Yeah.
used to be used to like Instagram influencers just showing, living my best life, but like
Right.
now there's
Mm,
this whole other trend of showing myself being distraught. So it's this,
mm.
yeah. So I mean, it's
Much
like
more
And
dramatic.
and and it
hitting.
probably gets the likes and views, right? I mean,
I don't
it's
know, but I didn't
Of
get that far.
course.
But it was just shocking because it's someone I
mhm,
know well. They live in my
right.
neighborhood, and
Is she
I'm sure
okay?
these
Did
kind
she
of thing
survive, or
happens.
what's the
She is in the hospital. She didn't die. That's good. And I'm sure these kind of things happen a lot. But
mm,
as they start, they don't happen in in where I live a lot. You don't hear about these kind of things happening a lot. So just unhappy children, lots of unhappy kids.
mm,
Yeah.
Also, I
yeah.
saw we have a lot of friends in Europe, all of us do, and we have a lot of friends in Russia and in Ukraine. I saw a story yesterday
And
that,
Iraq, apparently. Oh,
oh,
hi.
yeah, someone here from Iraq?
Yeah, it just said, yeah.
Oh, we
Wow.
do have a
Um,
few friends from Iraq. Right here, you say? Yes. Aram. Hello, Aram.
Hello, Aram. Wow, great to have
Hey.
you with us,
Great to have you.
friend.
Yeah.
So there's people we've known for years. They visited us from both Russia and Ukraine. I saw, I think as of yesterday, men 16 to 65 or something like that are not allowed on planes out of Russia now.
Hmm.
I heard this morning from a work
Why they want
colleague.
him to stay
Because
to fight the war?
That's gonna escalate now apparently.
mhm.
And I heard from somebody this morning who does business overseas that flights from Russia to the I think to the Emirates was like 16,000 US per seat or
Whoa.
something to get out of Russia. Yeah.
Hey.
So
Yeah, to get out of Russia is basically
anyway,
what it is, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
these are two tiny examples. There's 3 million people or something like that in Pakistan who can't step on dry land.
Hmm.
No home. I mean, just total
Yeah.
devastation from the floods. I mean, there's just so much going on. But across the globe, people are stressed. People are sad. People are worried. People are angry, and you can say that aside from something like a flood that you know makes 3 million people homeless or some acute thing in general, it's a theme, it's a trend, and for sure the COVID pandemic contributed to that. But there was a Gallup poll that I'll show you. This came out I think this week. So this predates COVID. This is 2006 down here. This is 2020. This is a global negative experience index by
Mm.
year.
Can you make it bigger?
Global
Just a
negative
little bigger?
Yeah,
experience
released a
index.
thousand survey of 1,000 respondents, 15 years and older per country in 140
Yeah.
countries from
Okay. Yeah.
2006 to.
Just command plus it.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Now we can see
Um,
better.
So, anyone who's interested can look
Right.
this up. Gallup is a huge organization that does polling, so
Yeah.
they put this out. So the point is that while COVID for sure contributed to anxiety and contributed to unhappiness, sadness, stress, even anger, it's not. It's just one piece, but there is a
So,
trend that here it's at least going back to 2006, and it's steadily unhappiness
steadily
Like
rising.
rising is
steadily
bad.
So
rising.
we
Yeah,
were
Up is bad.
already becoming unhappy, and COVID just made it worse,
yeah. Well, there's one.
basically.
Yeah. So anywhere on Earth where there is beauty, harmony, things are going well and healthy, anywhere that we can think of something like that, it's a place where different parts of the natural system interact together.
Yes.
Like imagine a forest, birds and bugs, and even though birds are eating bugs and snakes are eating birds, but there's a natural interaction between many parts. They're constantly interacting with each other in harmony. And by the way,
Yes.
once a lion eats a gazelle, you can walk right in front of the lion. He doesn't have animosity
Yeah.
and anger towards
Yeah,
you.
he was
He's
just
eating.
hungry. He was just hungry.
That's it. That's it. When he's
That's
hungry,
actually that's a great point, because it's like we always want to kind of hold on. We have this inclination to always hold on to the good. It's a good state. Let's hold on to that state, and like we want that state to continue forever almost. But you're saying when we look at nature, we see like harmony, but it's never just something that's continuous. That's
not
that's
static, right? It's
It's
constant.
always
great.
changing.
That's
Yeah,
great.
interesting.
So basically,
So-
we're talking about updating our concept of happiness. Instead, we're used to thinking about happiness as something I get. I got this car, I got happy. I am now the boss of this company, I am happy. You know what I mean? And you're describing
yeah,
happiness.
don't you want to pause those moments?
Exactly.
Right.
We
I
want
wish
to
this
pause
kiss
them.
could go on forever. I
Yeah.
wish, you're sitting on the beach, you finally get to vacation, you're like, I wish this moment
Right.
would last forever. Like
and-
the phone's not ringing, no emails are coming in. So, but what we see
And if you take your cues from nature, then you have a whole other definition of happiness, health, well-being, which is a flow, which is something that circulates. It's something that
balance.
like a balance, like a flow, like a
so
something.
use the forest
Yeah.
is one, and if you I went to Costa Rica and I stayed in the forest, and you hear the sounds as the night comes, like the different creatures coming out, and then in the morning it's
that's
changing, and the
beautiful.
rain comes
Nice.
in, and the rain it's amazing. But also take the going to the beach. Waves, I mean, constantly changing, right? Waves. You have the tides going in and out. You have the sand. You have the little crabs going in the sand, coming out of the sand. You have turtles. You have fish. Everyone is contributing to this beauty, to this system. You don't see one lone tree or one single fish and expect that there's some kind of healthy or thriving system of life.
Right.
And you can transfer this to, you could take this example to the body. If you think of each organ, for example, of the body as its own ecosystem with its own laws, its own culture, all the people that live in Liverland, they may be like more angry and a little more whatever, but they got a job to do, and that's how we live here.
And they're doing it.
And we're doing our job,
Yeah.
And people who live, in Lungland, it's like, we're so, we're just constantly it's fresh in here.
It sounds like a Disney movie already that it's about to come out.
So, yeah,
But those are very opposite kinds of
very
cells.
different cultures, different languages,
Yeah.
different ways of life. If you live in
Ooh, and when you get
Liverland,
into
or
the
if you live
gut, there's a whole ton of many trillions
The lungs
of
will never
bacteria.
understand the gut.
The gut is a whole world in itself. When there's also very different kind of types,
worlds within
of
worlds.
yeah, exactly. There's whole societies that are
So
in
imagine you have a
interaction there.
really, really healthy gut, but a really, really unhealthy liver. You're
Yeah.
not going to have a healthy
that's a problem.
situation. You're not going to, if you, was it from South Park? If you If you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're not going to have a good time. If all of the lungs or the gut is doing
Right.
great, but the liver is not doing great, you're not going to be having a good time. So the one system in nature, the one system in nature that actively isolates itself like a lone tree or a lone fish or one organ system that's going to survive on itself and doesn't care what's going on with the liver or the lungs, like, I'm going to make it. The one system in nature, if you can still consider humans part of nature, that actively isolates itself from the rest of nature is us. And we're barely surviving, we're barely
Right.
hanging on. There's no mutual support among people. We're not complimenting each other. Not complimenting meaning like, Asaf, you look great.
Right,
in that
like
shirt. I
as
don't
in
mean compliment like that.
completing each other, like completing, yeah, as in different
Right.
pieces
All the
that
things
complete
that
the system. Yeah.
Yeah, all the parts that I suck at that you're good at, or all the things that you're not so great at but I excel at, right? Some people are really good at math, other people are great at music.
Yeah.
Some people like to build with their hands. Some people can't stand to work with their hands. It's all in their, they want to think, they want to I don't know, engineers versus construction. It's two
Right.
totally different jobs. They rely on each other. So we criticize all of the imagine just a building. You need an architect and an engineer and you need construction workers. It's like three parts. Just an architect by himself isn't going to do anything, and just a carpenter by himself isn't going to have what to work on. So we need all of these complementary systems and relationships, yet we're constantly exploiting each other. We're constantly
Yeah.
abusing each other. We're constantly basing our success upon climbing on top of each other. So
Here's something. Okay, so wait, you were good.
it's no wonder we're so unhappy when we
Yeah.
look at how those natural systems work, and we look at how our system is so
Yeah.
unnatural and is not working. It's not a surprise. Nobody should be shocked.
It's not a
Nobody should be
surprise
shocked.
at all. Yes, and I want to add to that. The fact that if you look at the science, everyone knows that good social ties, positive social bonding, and all that is key to health, to happiness, to well-being, to productivity, to creativity. We know that. And it's
I mean,
not
10 years ago, you couldn't say that, but now you actually can say that
Oh,
because people really do know that now. And
yeah,
it's-
more like 2 decades.
it is common
already.
knowledge.
It's is it not common knowledge? Am I again giving too much credit to people, Seth? Is it not known already by now? There's such a huge body of knowledge in science right now
There's
from
a lot of people
from
on Earth.
psychology
Asaf.
and
A
behavior
lot of
and
people on Earth.
Okay. So at least the scientific community, which is
Yeah,
very
let's
small,
say-
very small, I agree. But I think it's beyond that. I think that, thinking people who read a little bit here and there, people who are kind of in the know about a little bit about, science, sociology, psychology, they know. It's common knowledge right now. You see it from the medical perspective and you see it from the mental health perspective. Social ties are key to happiness, and that's what I think is so mind-boggling here. That we know it. We know that this is how it works. You're in a protected environment. You're in a safe, positive group. There's good chemistry that's running in your blood, like literally. You feel shunned. You feel rejected. You feel hostility around you. There's bad chemistry in your blood. It's that simple. And yet we're still exploitive and, hostile and all the rest towards each other. That's what drives
Well,
me.
let's
Well,
not-
but you can't
let's-
blame. There's no
I was
other.
just gonna
there's no
say.
other. There's no other option.
You can't
but
blame
okay.
anybody.
Yeah, but
That's
okay.
true. That's true.
Awareness, let's say, is the first thing. Fine,
But-
we're becoming aware.
Well, let me put the needle here on a specific track here. No, we cannot blame anyone because we have this instinct. We have this egoistic instinct that prevents us from just, thinking about and developing and nurturing care for each other. Sure, as Kabbalists, we understand that very well. But it's still paradoxical that when you put that in front of our faces, you can put all of the data and all the graphs and all of the facts showing that all you need to do in life to be happy, to be healthy, to be resilient, to be safe, etc., on all levels, social, personal, global, is we need to cultivate good relationships with each other, a strong, positive human connection. And yet, we're not doing that.
Bala Salam is super clear in the last generation. He says, look at the German nation. They were the most educated.
Right.
The most educated nation in the world. So education is a part of it. But if we don't have an atmosphere, a positive atmosphere, because this is what he pointed out, that you took good people, really good people, but when the wave of energy comes through and it's like we've all seen this video that they did these social experiments where everyone in the elevator is facing backwards, and a guy gets in the elevator who's not in on the experiment, and he looks at everyone, and he just kind of turns around and faces backwards like everyone else, because we are social creatures, and we need to.
We don't want to believe it, though. We don't want to believe how dependent and how tied we are.
Oh yeah,
we can see the research, but we don't want to believe it.
That's my point. That's my point. We're in a, it, and you still don't feel it, and that's the beauty of, like, the beauty. I mean, the beauty of the paradox of the human condition. Right. Unlike other social species, which are just, like fish, they just swim in the swarm. Bees, they just, flap their wings and make honey together. All those guys, those animals, they instinctively live together. For us, we're in a struggle. It's not just that we're hateful of each other and we're exploiting each other. We also recognize it's bad for us. And we still do it. That's what I think is fascinating about the human condition. And it leaves some room for, there's a unique kind of place where we can recognize our own negative attitudes towards each other. And that's where
you're still putting too much. It's like you're still handing the keys over to humanity and saying, go ahead and drive. You got it. I don't know.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
I mean, maybe it's like, before we know how to drive, you're saying, hey, you guys you can drive. You can do it. You can educate yourselves. Hey, look, the science tells you this is what you need to be happy. Go ahead. Do what the science says.
It's also like even not just the science. I think it's obvious to people. And again, Seth will call me out here on giving credit to people.
I'm silently calling you out.
But wait. Isn't it all parents tell their kids, be nice to each other, right? It's something, it's obvious to us that if you want others to be nice to you, be nice to them.
It's not true, first of all, that all parents do that.
Okay, you're probably right. You're probably right.
There's cultures that are built on war.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I accept that.
But in general,
that's the society that's the liver society, where they do their things differently, but they still will find a way to integrate with the rest
I'm sure
of
you can find examples that say the opposite, and still there is some basic understanding in a human being. You come to a new place, you come to a new workplace, you're in the subway or something. Of course, horrible things happening both of these places, but generally, when a human being goes to a new place, you are examining what kind of relationship you are in. We are naturally aware of the fact that others can harm us, and therefore we should try to get along with them. We're unsuccessful, we are, not educated to do it, we don't have the skills and so on. We don't want to do it. If we get a good position in exploiting people, then we can use it again and again. But there is a basic understanding that if we were capable of getting along with each other, things would be better. That's just a basic. Don't you agree? That people.
I don't know. I think that there's people who their whole existence is about defeating someone else.
It doesn't contradict what I'm saying, and yet I think these people know they just don't believe it's possible. They don't,
I
you
don't
know.
know. Well, how about this? I can't speak for them. This is what I can say. I think now that we're having this conversation and we're kind of airing all this out, that there is an opportunity for people like us, meaning who are people like us? Anyone in the world, everyone here, for the people who want, for those people that do want something to be better. Okay, I can't speak for every person that inside of them they think that this is how it is, that we should all be good to each other. For this, I'm saying there's a small group of people anyway to start that feel like this, and I see some good news in this right now. The good news is we don't need to convince anyone about it. And why? Because we can do that elevator experiment in humanity. We can just, if we create a good atmosphere, it will affect others without having to go through the mind.
Right.
That's what I think is the opportunity that I'm seeing from this now.
You
That
still need the majority for that, though.
you need, but have you seen that meme? They put a lot of different captions on it, but it's the tiny domino that eventually knocks over the huge. I mean, the tiny domino that's like this big that eventually knocks
Right.
over a domino that's like 10 I don't know, huge, 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And then there's always like some like ridiculously funny caption about it. But if you have a group of 50, and they affect a group of 150, and then your group of 150 affects a group of 1,000, and now you're playing with nature now.
You think
Seth,
Snoop Dogg is into that? You think Snoop Dogg is part of that circle?
I saw that he's doing some kind of children's education videos. I'm a little skeptical because I heard what he came out with in the 90s, but maybe.
I mean, everyone. I'm just saying. I'm just bringing that up just because I think it's almost like it's kind of like a hip thing to do. He's not the first person I've seen that does that. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there that pop up, and also Instagram and TikTok, where their whole channel is just to try to educate people about being good, like the benefits of being good, let's say, or you lack this quality, or you lack this ability to adjust in society. Here, take this advice, and maybe it'll help you out, and maybe it'll help you have a good life. There's a lot of that, and maybe it is becoming a little bit trendy to do that, maybe because they feel that there's no choice, and that society is really in a hole because it doesn't even know how to behave with one another. Where are we going with all this, by the way?
I'm all for it, by the way. I mean, why not? I mean, if Snoop Dogg is doing trying to do something good for kids, I don't know how, what he calls good and what it will actually be.
Right.
But at least someone's trying to do something. That's not, I don't know if it's that, so, if it's a bad thing. But, okay, where are we going with this? I want to try to take it to a certain place. We were saying, we started with this whole Gallup thing, right? The report that says we're gradually, steadily becoming unhappy. The human population is becoming more and more unhappy. COVID made it even worse, but it was already the trend and it's continuing, right? That's what we saw from the data. I want to ask this. Why is it, let's get to the bottom of this. Why do we have to be taught and reminded and trained to make our social connections work well so that we can be happy? That's, I think, is the interesting question. Somehow, this program of nature skips human connections. Like, it works in fish, it works in bees, it works in ants, it works in ecosystems, it works between your liver and your lungs and all of your 50 trillion cells in the body or whatever. What is going on between human beings that even if, and I'm saying if because I agree with your criticism, not all people are aware of that, but even if we are aware that social connections are key to our survival, our health, our prosperity, our happiness, still there is some we still have to work on it. What's going on here?
It seems wrong that we have to work on it. It seems wrong. Like, if we have to work on it, then that can't be the right thing to do. That's kind of the impression you get.
That's where I wanted to go. I think, and that's kind of an answer to what the point Seth was bringing up. The reason that we're looking at it the wrong way from a Kabbalistic perspective is what I'm saying. We're saying, okay, look, humans are bad to each other, right? This is something that a lot of people, right, Seth? A lot of people hold this view. that you've encountered? That look, people are bad towards each other. You gotta watch out for yourself. That's human nature. What can you do? And that's the world, son. Live that way. Like live in it. Right? You agree with that?
Even if you teach your children that we want to be good and that we want to build a good world, when you send them off to go to the city for their first day of work on the train, you say,
exactly.
Listen, be careful. If you see anybody who looks strange,
you want to send good advice, right? Yeah. I mean, what kind of good advice can I come up with real quick? Yeah,
you train them their entire life to be loving, and then when you put them on the train, you tell them to be careful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So that's the paradox that I find interesting, and that I think Kabbalah solves if a person has the sensitivity to hear it. That's a more complicated thing to actually hear what Kabbalists are saying. But I think that this is the paradox that humans are dealing with. It just looks utopian, ideal, unrealistic for us to start caring for each other. But that's exactly the point where we have a unique latitude in the whole system of nature. We humans, the only creature, has this unique area in reality where we can consciously, with our effort, it's not going to be easy. Of course it doesn't come to us instinctively. That's right, because we're not fish. We're not ants.
Right, there's no fish, and he just turns around to the shark. He's like, I don't want to live like this anymore.
But I will. Yeah, exactly. The fish, the ants don't go, I really don't want to carry that piece of breadcrumb or whatever it is. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I'm a good ant. I'm going to do it for the whole, I'm going to do it for the public good.
That doesn't sound so appealing though to the regular person. Oh, I'm good. I have some latitude, like you said, in life.
But that latitude, that you're right. That's what we should get into. The fact that we have this latitude where we can make a conscious effort to be in positive connections with each other, that is because in that effort that we make to go above our ego, above our instinctive gravity force that pushes us to just care for our own survival, and that's it. If we make an effort to go above that, we enter a new realm. We enter a new space in the natural program where we can actually experience another whole layer of reality consciously. It's like the same thing, the same synchronizing program that the fish and the ants and the bees and ecosystems and your body and the whole cosmos is experiencing instinctively. There's no one noticing it. There's no one in the still vegetative and animate levels that feels it. We can feel it. We can.
Well, fine. I'll take that new reality as long as there's food in my fridge. And
it comes with it.
I have healthcare.
It comes with it. Bala Sulam writes, we won't be able it's the other way around. There's no flour. There's no flour as in, that you make bread with. There's no light. And on the other hand, if we won't make our goal as humans spiritual, meaning attaining that hidden layer of connection in reality, we won't also be able to sustain ourselves economically. He writes these very words. So it works in both directions, and that's what Seth is actually talking about. When you look at the world today, that's what we're discovering, that the world is falling apart without us starting to work on our connections intentionally, deliberately.
This increasing unhappiness is really, that's the key that can unlock.
You're right.
Are you saying you're happy about that? You're happy about that?
He is saying that.
You
as
could
a Kabbalist,
I'm happy that unhappiness is increasing.
Quote him. Put it on TikTok.
I don't want to. I'm not saying that I want anyone to be unhappy. I don't. I want everyone to be happy. But in order to be happy, a person needs to be unhappy, because otherwise they're just going to be happy with little or unhappy about having little. You guys understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes,
I do.
The air is getting really.
I do. I don't know if
the air is being sucked out of the air here, so I'm not sure if you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically saying that.
I'm saying I'm happy that people are unhappy, but then I'm also afraid that someone's going to make a clip of that and say Brightman says that people.
They will.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
But
But
the point is that from this, we're on the precipice of international wars. We're on the
yes,
precipice of another pandemic. Exploitation, political exploitation, economic exploitation is getting worse. Our stress, our sickness, our unhappiness is increasing. But this can be the lever for us to realize I
yes.
don't want to live like this anymore. I see the result of our disconnection and I'm not happy with it. I want to learn how we can make a good life. I want to learn how I can feel safe, how my kids can be healthy, how we're not, my relatives don't have disease. And I think that until we feel this kind of unhappiness that we're feeling now, there's not enough to make us want to exit this life, exit
Well, we
this
can't be numbing.
crap.
We can't be numbing the unhappiness because it really is, like you said, maybe you're happy. It's like you go to the doctor and you're happy that you're diagnosed. Oh, finally, I have a diagnosis. That does make sense. That does make sense. That I
Oh,
do have a diagnosis now, so I can treat the problem.
okay. Let's take this the same thing we're talking about actually manifests in another thing that we wanted to bring up. Okay, this whole
Yep.
topic of it's the same thing. It's really, you'll
Yep.
see it's the same thing. The same trend or the same feeling of unhappiness actually manifests itself in different areas of human life, and one of them is the workplace, right? So the
Big part.
yeah, so the next topic that I want to bring up is called quiet quitting. If you've heard about it, for anyone who's listening to us, it was big in the news here in Israel. Also, I know in the U.S. I'm guessing in other Western countries as well. It's a big thing, and basically, quiet quitting is this trend of a lot of people. This is in the millions of people are they're not quitting their job as the name implies, but they're resorting to doing the very bare minimum and nothing more than that as an approach to work, as an approach to life. That's the meaning of quiet quitting. It's a global phenomenon. It's not in a single place, which is interesting. It is in many countries. It's mostly the younger generation, but not only them. And I want to show you 2 minutes from this TikTok video that this young guy did that went viral. It has now like over 6 or 7 million views. So check this out, and then let's talk about it. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, maybe just mute yourself while we hear it so we keep seeing it on the screen. All right.
The reality is many of us that are in my age or a little older, or a little younger, are working jobs that do not care about us as people. And I'm going to say that again because I think that's a very, very important distinction that a lot of people are forgetting. I am not going to kill myself over a job that doesn't care about me as a human being. I am not going to put in a 60-hour work week and pull myself up by my bootstraps for a job that does not care about me as a person. Oh, you're being sensitive. Oh, you just want your feelings. No, I'm saying the bare minimum is that if I'm sick or if I have a family emergency, that job's not going to be like, oh, it's your responsibility to find someone to replace you. So many people my age are coming to the realization that the idea and the notion that we're just able to buy a home in this climate just by putting in some extra hours is outrageous and honestly just so ignorant. 50 years ago, yeah, you could work at McDonald's and put a down payment on a house in your mid-20s. In today's date, that is not possible. Now, let me rephrase that. It is possible. If I work an 80-hour work week, don't go out ever, don't do anything I enjoy, don't take a day off for mental health, for physical health, for whatever, eat ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a couple years, and then maybe I could get approved for a loan, pay off this loan on top of the crippling student loans many of us are in, and then after a couple years of literally killing myself, I can own a home. And you can't just say, oh, people are lazy for not wanting to do that. I'm not even taking into consideration, I don't know if we're going to have a sustainable world in 50 years. I'm asking a genuine question here. Why, as a 22-year-old individual, would I do all of this work to save up for a home in some place that I probably don't want to live in, because chances are I can't afford to live where I want to live, purchase that home, and then not even know if we are going to have a sustainable world to live in 50 years from now? Why would I want to raise kids in a world where I don't know if they're going to have clean air to breathe in 50 years? It all comes back down to you had the privilege of growing up in a world where there was hope and opportunity, and we don't.
Okay, so
That hit hard.
there,
That was
yeah.
emotional and real.
I first of all, just for the sake of credit, so this guy. His name is Hunter Kami, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. He's on TikTok. Whoever's interested in him can look him up. And this video went viral. And well, there's a bunch of things I find interesting here. What do you guys make of this? What's your immediate kind of? And Seth, maybe give us your. I think you're a little bit more thick with a thicker skin on this or something. Seth, what do you think? What's going
So,
through your head now?
As the entrepreneur, let the entrepreneur. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so really, I can relate to him, but on the other side, there's something he says, I'm not going to put in this work for an employer who doesn't care about me, which is really interesting because it means that this person is not interested in taking over the whole world. He's interested in just being part of something.
Right. Nice.
The entrepreneurial spirit is like, you're not really concerned what the employer wants from you. You're looking like there's a spirit from below. Like, I want to create something. I'm going to figure out how to create something. If I can't find it here, I'll look somewhere else. So I'm taking this guy as yeah. So that was one thing as like an employer. It's like, well, are you looking for something in your life? But what I really liked from it, what do you have to say about that?
No, I do have something to say about it because I think I can totally get why at first when someone says something like, this young 22-year-old dude says this work doesn't care about me. Like, I can see clearly, like, my mom's for example, like, immediate response to this could have been something like, come on, work is not supposed to care about you. You're getting paid by work. But then I'm thinking, wait just a second. He has a point. Why shouldn't the workplace become a place where people actually care for each other while they're all doing something in the organization together that actually cares about the world? We're just so light years away from this whole different change of social, economic, global
But it's
change.
It's not
that
light
it
years away,
seems.
though.
Yeah. I'm just saying, mindset wise, we're light years away from it. So we're saying, come on, work doesn't need to care about you. I don't think even he, would say what I'm saying right now in terms of like the vision of what does it mean? Because for the work to care about its people, its employees, the world has to change. You can't change a corporation, and you can't change a job, and you therefore can't change the employee's attitude to the job. This is a change that has to happen all across the board, because it has to do with the monetary incentive and profits. It has to do with the whole economic system and the conditioning of the workplaces and how we perceive work in general.
I heard in him,
but he's right in terms of the vision, from a Kabbalistic
that's what I was impressed with.
Yeah.
Not really probably the point of what he said, but that he said, I don't want to work somewhere if they don't care about me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you want someone to care about you.
But
That's
it's
so
because
nice.
but he feels the neglect, though, that's what's new. Is that before there was, okay, we'll take care of you. We got your retirement. Maybe they don't care about you, but they're gonna do, quote unquote, maybe the right thing, And when you don't feel that the right thing is being done, then you can say things like, they don't care about me. Because then you actually do have a need. Oh, I feel what it means to be neglected by my employer, and I see that my needs are not being met. Maybe the needs have grown. Maybe the needs have changed. And now the people who are working have different needs, and he's expressing those needs. Of course, the world is changing. So you can't really compare it to how it used to be, because the world is just how it is.
You ever gone into like a Starbucks or something, and everyone there is like I don't know if it still happens, but like when Starbucks is like a new thing.
I just went
like
recently to Starbucks in when I was in the States.
It's still the same. Yeah, Mazel tov.
No, it wasn't the first time at all. But I'm just saying it happens once in a year or something like that, and then I'm reminded.
So you may be able to track the difference.
Is.
We have really good coffee shops in town that I don't go to Starbucks in town anymore, but there was like a spirit, like everyone was like excited to do the pump on the the caramel and like they really liked having like
Yeah.
double mocha coming up, like triple that, like pushing the buttons and using the equipment, and like there's like and you see that in certain places. Like you go in and I'm like, why does this person care so much about doing this?
I had that
like in a
exact experience in Conroe when I was there in the States. Exactly. I thought it was the same exact things that you just thought. In Conroe, in Texas.
What's Conroe?
What is
the
Conroe?
place in Texas?
It's a city. Yeah, it was exactly. She was just like that,
okay.
and I was like, "Whoa!" She kind
Sometimes
of just made my day.
You go into
weird.
a restaurant that's like a popular restaurant, and like the wait staff is like, they're carrying 50 things, and
They're into it.
Everyone's like really into it.
Okay.
And so there's something that people get from being a part of something, which transcends maybe even how the managers treat everyone. But it's just, if you get to be a part of something that's working well, and people are you get some energy from it, even though the employer may not deserve your heart in that way. It's a natural phenomenon, and this goes back to what we said earlier, that when people start to connect together, some force of nature fills that space, regardless of whether you're at Starbucks or in a stadium.
And these people, these millions of people that are quiet quitting, are not feeling it. Basically, they're not feeling it. Okay, so let me ask you a question I find interesting. What is it that they're not quitting their jobs, right? This term is misleading. It's the quiet quitting. What is it that they're actually quitting? How would you define?
It seems to me they're peeling their material life from their inner life. So the body goes to work, but internally they're just like on Instagram, or they're probably not even on Instagram anymore. I don't know, Snapchat or whatever. They're on, like, internally. It's like, what am I doing later? What do I want to do? What am I thinking about?
That's a cool.
Like,
I
always see now, even like people during lunch, they have the phone set up and they're watching like Netflix, like when they have a break. Or when they have, like.
So it's like I'm doing whatever I'm doing with my body, but in my world, I'm in a different place.
Yeah.
It's two different mindsets. I can even do it at my job. I can even do it. I can start caring about the work that I'm actually doing, and I enter like a different world. Or I could just care about getting the work done. And I have two different days. And if you have too many days where you just care about getting the work done because there's no positive feedback, is that something you could say? I'm not feeling like I'm actually doing anything. I don't feel like I'm part of something bigger. I don't feel like I'm not that the organization is caring for me, but that there's some kind of reciprocity, some kind of thing where I get something besides just money. I saw a meme. I don't work to get money. To have money. I work for the freedom that money gives me. There's two different things. And I feel like that's a big, there's a big contrast there, and you have to mentally lock onto one or the other. Every time you wake up to go to work, you have to figure out which one am I going for. And the other side will just make you exhausted and tired, and then you start seeing stuff like this on TikTok.
Guys, I just peeking over here at the chat, and our friend Slightly Slanted Sleuth wrote, that guy, meaning, from the clip we just saw, he goes, that guy's mentality is exactly why kids these days are sad. So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay. So I think it's exactly related to the question we just asked. I don't know if they're sad.
He says,
I don't know if they're.
He said,
yeah.
Hold on a sec. He said, I'm a stonemason. I take pride in my work. The job, it gets, he said, but like all jobs, it gets old. But so, now,
my take on this, to our friend and everyone else, I think
a veteran.
I think they're in a different. I think they're in a different state, man. I think these people are quitting the race. That's basically the
rat race.
The rat race. Yes,
because
they're looking they're able because because they're no longer benefiting from it. It's not like they're suddenly became smart. They're just not benefiting from it in such a horrible way that is not like it was 50 years ago. It's very simple. Their parents lived in a different time, like the guy said, and so on. And today they just look at it from a side for a second and they go, "Whoa. Why? What? Why? It's not worthwhile. This whole thing is a futile rat race, and investing, making, selling my life and my energy and my passion to this job that I don't really get proper benefit from is not worth it, and I'm just quitting the race. I have to work, and I think that's what's cool about it. That's what's, spiritually interesting about it, Kabbalistically interesting about it, because these people, and again, this could be in the US alone, this could be about 50 million people according to some survey. This is a big change.
Quitting,
it could reach that dimension. There's no exact number for this now, but that's how much it can be. This is a big thing that's happening, and it's
a mindset. It's not a movement. It's a mindset.
And it's a mindset.
It's not something you join.
That's what it's interesting.
Feel it. Yeah.
It's like I have to work because I have to pay the bills, I have to pay rent and so on. But you know what? I'm not in the race. That is something that is unprecedented in my view. I don't think I don't think we've seen something like that before. Another interesting point he says, by the way, is I don't even know if I'll have enough clean air to breathe in 50 years. That's also very new in terms of insights of the younger generation.
Right.
This is I think there's it's nothing less than...
Tell me if this is related. I just got an email on Tuesday from the superintendent of schools in my town. Tell me if this is related. I just opened it. As you may know, 9 out of every 10 school districts nationwide report that up to 10% of their instructional staff positions are unfilled. This data is part of a survey. Many issues. Yeah. So,
but the train
9 out
strike,
of 10 school districts can't find enough teachers.
And I'm sure it's not just there
it's
either.
in Israel. This is a huge trend right now. Huge trend. Huge trend. They're looking even at AI, like robot type of things as replacements for some of the. It's a huge thing.
Fast.
Huge thing.
That happened very quickly. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. I remember even when I was in school. I was in school my last year in university. I had that. I woke up one day and I had that same thing. I was in class, like marketing class or whatever, and I'm sitting there. I'm almost done. I'm just trying to get my credits, trying to get out of there, and I'm thinking. And it just hits me. It basically was the beginning of me starting to study Kabbalah. It was, why are you, like you said, why are you getting into this rat race? You could see the end and you can feel the end of your life. I'm just gonna have kids. I need to get this diploma, and I'm gonna be a grandparent. And then you're like, you see the whole thing and laid out in front of you, and then you just say, that's not what I really want to invest my life into. That's not really what I want to become.
Okay, that's a huge thing. Now, but. That's what we call in Kabbalah a point in the heart. Obviously, this is a brewing spiritual desire for investing your life in.
It started with that though.
In a higher goal,
the same way that he said.
But that's what's so interesting. If this is similar, if this is anything similar, what these younger people are feeling about this quiet quitting trend, if this is any way similar, we're looking at a revolution in human desire that's brewing right now under the surface. This is something that Kabbalists have been describing that will begin to happen in our time. Not because it's not some magic prophecy or something like that. They're looking at the development of human desire based on where it needs to go until it completes its spiritual awakening, so to speak, or it's a certain degree of evolution. They're like geneticists of the general global human desire that exists in mankind. The people of today clearly are not the people of 50 years ago. The children that are growing today are not of the same substance. They are of a different substance. It's already nothing is erased from the past. Everything that humanity goes through accumulates, and the babies that are born today already possess all of the experience that humanity has had in the past.
Right,
it's
so
just in spiritual form.
Exactly.
And this means that human desire evolves from one generation to the next. We're just not seeing it. We're seeing bodies that live and die. But these young people,
right? We're treating them like a kid who's born 15 years ago
Yes.
is the same as a person who was born 80 years ago. He just happens to be, this one happened to be born now and this one happened to be born then. But no,
That's not the
one who's
case.
Not
born
even
now
close.
is
Yeah.
much more cooked inside, um, much more
Ready,
development.
more ready for something different, ready for a
And-
big change.
And now, Seth, I'm gonna help you with what you said earlier, because earlier said Seth about 20 minutes ago. He said, "I'm happy that people are unhappy." Not exactly like that, but some of that was there.
He did say that.
But look,
That
but look,
line's going to come back to haunt me in 10 years.
this guy from TikTok that we just from the video we saw, he ends the video in something like, "There's no hope. We are just realizing, my generation's realizing we have no hope and no opportunity." And we are here explaining that from a Kabbalistic perspective, that is actually the
exactly the
precursor.
opportunity.
It's the precursor to the
Mazel
spiritual
tov,
opportunity.
congratulations.
Exactly.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, oh man, I don't know. I feel so much frustration inside,
Let me add to
because
it. So
yeah, go ahead.
let me just add to it. So there's a huge news program. It's been around for 50 years. It's called 60 Minutes. And it was like something very, very serious. Everybody used to tune into it to like hear these in-depth interviews before podcasts and everything like that. So they had the president of the United States on it last week or the beginning of this week or something. And he said the pandemic is over. And it's like,
Okay.
meanwhile, like a few days later, his press secretary comes out and says, well, he was at his first car show in 3 years. He spoke.
Oh,
out of
really?
turn.
That's
Yeah.
how it happened?
Oh, it's so interesting what's happening.
It's
The president
very
keeps saying one
bizarre.
thing, and then he keeps saying the White House is saying something else right afterwards. I'll just tell you, for example, can I find it here?
Yeah, I've heard him say stuff like, "Oh wait, I'm not allowed to speak. What they don't want me to speak."
I don't, I'm trying not to make it about the guy, but
Yeah,
but,
let's just make clear here that we would laugh
Right.
even if the politician would be from. It doesn't
Was
matter
from
from
the other team. It
what's
doesn't matter to us,
exactly.
right.
It's just
But anyway,
funny
the point is
that
that
politicians
the
say one thing
kids-
and their media outlets say other things.
Exactly. But if you think about it, it's like maybe let's not get into speculation here. The
Okay.
point is that the younger generation is looking at
Yeah.
these people and is just the same way that like their body goes to work, but their internality
Right.
is like in their own world together.
And they're
They're
quitting
also,
from
like,
the
looking
other
at what-
thing. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
looking at what the politicians and these older people are saying, and they're just peeling themselves. Like the realities are so
Oh, that's a
different.
good
Like
point.
that world of these politicians and their lies.
Yeah, it's like
and
all
the
of this
BS, the
world is
manipulation just
irrelevant
like-
to me. It's like I'm not even gonna
There's-
play.
Whatever they say, it's just lies. It's just BS. It's just for some agendas, and I'm slowly just being peeled away from that whole.
Yeah, it basically has zero importance. It used to have maybe 10 grams, 20 grams of importance. No, I need to know what's going on. I need to know what everyone's saying. I need to know what's happening. And eventually you just kind of say, no, it means nothing to me.
So here's the last question that we're probably gonna have time to discuss, but I do want to bring it up, and this is more about us, because I started saying that I feel frustrated a little the more I think about it, because okay, let me just ask you as a question: how do you think that people like this guy from the video, do you think that Kabbalah can help them develop out of their current state where that feels hopeless and give them a new motivation in life? Do you think that's possible? Do you think what will it take for that to work for them? You feel me? You feel what I'm
So now they feel the way that this guy feels. So you're basically saying what will be the next beneficial step?
Maybe
in the right direction.
Maybe I didn't phrase the question in the best possible way. I just had when we were talking about it a couple of minutes ago, I felt like a deep frustration here, because it feels like these people, especially the young generation, are so close. So they're
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
We have some wall. We have a wall.
Yes, there
because
is a wall.
When we were at this retreat, this Kabbalah retreat a few weeks ago, and we learned about life. We learned about natural forces operating on us. And it was like a love fest. We sang together. We ate together. We hugged together. We
Yeah.
went for walks together. But when people look from the outside at me or what I do, they're like, oh, it's so scientific. Like, where's your heart? There's no heart in this. It's like all you do is just like read books.
Or
and
the
you don't-
same thing.
You know,
Yeah.
there's such a wall between the experience of it on the inside
Yeah.
and what it's perceived on the outside. And so there's a lot of work that remains for us
For us, yeah.
to be able to present something
To package it
from the
for
side of
them.
nature. From the side of nature, nature is doing a great job at
Yeah.
pressing them to
He's
be- to
brewing.
be
Nature's
empty.
brewing the people, setting them up
But
in
from
the
our
exact.
side, we're still very deficient in being able to present something that's realistic and also totally optimistic and fulfilling.
They need to see that it speaks exactly about that point of frustration that they're feeling, and that is something that's still hard for us, I think, to do.
Well, the
the
you said it
wisdom
was
is not
the-
yet packaged in the right way for their exact, but the desire is kind of there. It's anyway. Yeah, go ahead, man.
The desire is there, but you said the guy said at the end is hopeless. That's
Yeah.
actually great because you just need to replace if the first goals
Again,
Sorry.
we can.
Sorry.
Again,
can
we're
edit
happy
that
at
out.
Great.
we're happy at
Great, I
unhappiness.
love your depression.
So,
Basically what happens is you take the goal that has fizzled out, right? The society has been running on this goal, right, for a long time, and that's kind of the fuel is running out. People are feeling that. You just need to replace it with another goal. I think packaging and all this stuff that you guys are talking about, that's one thing, which is correct. But also just to kind of like put under the doormat a little note that with a different goal, a little hint of another goal. Not that you're going to have a good life or that we could do this, because that seems outrageous and a little bit naive. Just a different goal. Why do you even want to exist?
yeah.
Maybe they're possibly ready to hear a new reason for that. I don't exist to wake up and go to work. No, I don't want to do that, because this quiet quitting is not just about doing the minimum amount of job. It's about a work-life balance. People who want to invest themselves in work or used to invest themselves in work want to invest themselves in their little side jobs, maybe learn another hobby, have more time for family. That's what's important to them. So their goal is no longer to make money so I can live and to have a happy life with whatever money can buy me. The goal it's like it's ready to become something else. Maybe we just need to provide them another goal in different terms. You don't have to talk about the creator or anything
because
like that.
because the current stage they're in, more or less, is like there's no more goal, fascinating rosy goal in front of you that in this material kind of world, but there's also nothing else to replace it. So it's
Right.
just. Anyway, okay. So I want to read to you guys a quote from our teacher, Kabbalist Dr. Michael Lightman. He was asked about this phenomenon a couple weeks ago, very recently, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And here is some of what he said. It was an interesting conversation, not a long one on this topic, but I think we've done an interesting kind of preparation to take these words to heart. Anyway, here's what he said. He said this, again, about this quiet quitting thing. He said, this is a trend that awakens from the natural development of humans. It's evolution. People stopped thinking about money as they did 100 years ago. And work is important, but not to the point that we should sell our lives for it. We are developing towards new desires that will be more rational and more spiritual. I love that he puts these two in the same breath. More rational and more spiritual. The living inside the rat race is kind of becoming irrational. It's becoming ridiculously futile and just irrational. We will look at our life from a little bit higher and ask ourselves, what for? Why? Is this worthwhile? We are continuously moving towards spiritual development. In the meantime, it's not very clear to us. And that's exactly, it's not very clear to,
That's why it's hopeless.
even to the
That's why it
people who
feels
feel
hopeless.
it. Yeah. And yet we're already seeing great changes. People will become less material. first there will be some aversion towards materialistic development, and then some inclination towards spiritual development.
So we're
Seth.
just waiting for that inclination, I guess, to come around. And
Well, I don't know. Seth, wrap us
Let's all
up.
let's all of us, everyone here, let's all of us add to the atmosphere of good and in our hearts first, even not with our hands and feet, but in our hearts. Let's know that there's thousands and thousands of people like us around the world, and let's add in our thoughts and in our hearts that we want this spirit of good connections between us to rule. Let that rule. Then you don't need some
Yes.
kind of person to be in charge, because when everyone's looking out for everyone else, it's like nature. It's like the forest. It's like the beach. It's like the organs in the body. So that's our mission. Until we see you next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Tell your friends about us. We'll see you there. Chris, Asaf. Good night, guys. And I'm the luckiest guy to have friends like you. Take care, everybody.
thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Wake up! Fill every cup and raise them higher. Wake up! Gratitude for what's to come. Wake up! And feel the friends burning desire. Wake up! Run up to the altitude of love. Wake up! We got to find a new way to love. Calling out together. We've been trying to fix our way. Please help us change our nature. We want to live in love and unity. We're calling out together. We've been trying to fix our way. Help us change our nature. We want to live in love and unity.